Welcome everybody. We are discussing the chapter Life Processes, chapter 6 of class 10. And we have already discussed up to the transportation in plants. And in this session, we'll discuss about the excretion in human, which is the last topic of this chapter. And we'll also discuss the excretion in plant, a little bit about plant excretion also. Now let us start with the excretion. What is excretion? It is the process of removal of metabolic waste materials and other non-useful substances. Waste materials of metabolic process means in our body several chemical reactions are taking place, and all these chemical reactions are known as metabolic processes. So in chemical reactions, some waste materials are also released and which are very toxic for our body. They are not useful for our body. If they will deposit in our body, remain for a long time in our body, then they cause harm to different system or different organs of our body. That's why they should be removed from our body. So the process by which these metabolic waste materials are removed is called excretion. The organisms like animals have an advanced and specialized system for excretion like human beings. But plants lack a well-developed excretory system like that in animals. And they do not have special organs for excretion, and thus excretion in plant is not so complex. But in animals, especially when we are talking about the excretion in human being, it is a very complex process. But in case of plants, it is not that much complex. Okay, so in a human being, there is a specific excretory system which consisted of different types of organs which work together to remove the waste materials from the body. Now we'll discuss the excretion in unicellular organism. In unicellular organism, the process of excretion is very simple because their body organization is also very simple. The the complexity of the process increases with the complexity in the body organization. So in unicellular organism like amoeba and bacteria, the waste product is removed by very simple method, that is diffusion through the general body surface. And these organisms also excrete or they remove the waste material through a particular type of vacuole, very special type of vacuoles called contractile vacuole. Okay, so this contractile vacuole removes the nitrogenous waste from the body. If you take the case of amoeba, then what happens? The excess amount of water along with the excretory materials are collected together to form a vacuole that is called contractile vacuole. And this contractile vacuole comes to the surface, and on the surface of the body of the amoeba it bursts or it is fragmented, releasing the waste materials out of the cell. Okay. Similarly, so this is regarding the nitrogenous waste. So what about the undigested food? That is also waste material in our body. As you know, in case of a human being, there is a digestive system. The digestive system itself removes the undigested food material through the anus. So similarly, in unicellular organism, the undigested food is excreted when the food vacuole merges with the general body surface and opens to outside. In your previous classes, you have studied about the a whole process of nutrition which includes ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, then ultimately egestion. In egestion, what happens? The food vacuole, which contains the residual undigested materials, comes to the surface of the body of amoeba, and then it bursts and the materials are released out. Now we'll discuss the excretory system in human being. The excretory system in human includes a pair of kidney, a pair of uterus, a urinary bladder, urethra. So let me show you once again the diagram. Here you can see a pair of kidney attached to the dorsal body wall, and you can see that the right kidney occupies a little bit lower position as compared to the left kidney because of the position of the liver. On right side we have liver, so it occupies, though it seems to be present at the same level, they are not actually present at the same level, but they are present. The left kidney occupies the higher position, whereas the right kidney occupies the lower position. So this is because of the presence of the liver. So here somewhere liver is present. Okay. So a pair of kidney, then a pair of ureters. So the ureters are the tubular structures which arises from the kidney, and then it opens into the urinary bladder. So a single urinary bladder is present. It is a sac-like structure which collects the urine that comes from the kidney. Okay. Then there is a, you can say there is a narrow canal. Okay, that is called urethra, through which the urine exit out through the urinary meatus. The opening is called urinary meatus. Okay. Now kidneys. Let us discuss the structure of kidneys. So paired kidneys are the main excretory organ of the body. They are basically the filtration unit of the human body. So they filter the waste material out of the blood that comes to the kidney. So each kidney is made up of many tiny filtration units called nephron. I will show you the diagram. So we can say that the nephrons are the structural and functional unit of the kidney, because the filtration, the main filtration takes place through the nephrons only. Okay. So kidney performs other crucial functions like filtering waste materials, medications, and toxic substances from the blood. So when we take food, from the food some waste materials comes to the blood. When we take medicine, also some waste materials comes to the blood, and the other toxic substances released from the tissues or cells after metabolic activities are also released to the blood. So this blood is ultimately carried to the kidney, where the waste materials from the blood are filtered. Okay, and or you can say the purification of the blood is done. So here you don't confuse about purification and oxygenation of the blood. In lungs also purification of blood takes place, but that is different. That means that in lungs carbon dioxide is removed and oxygen is added to the blood. But here in the kidney, the waste materials, the toxic substances other than carbon dioxide are filtered. The other function is regulation of osmolarity or the fluid balance of the body. You know that 70% of our body is constituted by fluid. So this fluid balance should be maintained in our body, otherwise the body will be dehydrated. As a result, the cell will become motor. Okay, so that's why it is very essential to maintain the fluid balance of the body or hydration of the body, and this is called osmolarity. So how this fluid balance can be maintained? It can be maintained by osmosis, because as you know, the cell contains the water, thus the fluid balance is maintained. And this, how the water will enter in or out of the cell? Through the semi-permeable membrane or selectively permeable membrane of the cell, by the process of osmosis. So that's why this process of osmosis should be regulated, and that is carried out by our kidneys. Then the next function is regulation of ion concentration in the body. You know, in our body, several types of cations and anions, that means positively charged ions and negatively charged ions are there. Okay, like positively charged ions, chloride, potassium, sodium, calcium, these are positively charged ions. Whereas negatively charged ions are chloride. So these and some amino acids are also negatively charged. So there should be a balance in the positively charged and negatively charged ions, and this ionic distribution should be in a balanced condition so that each and every part of our body can function properly. So this ionic concentration in the body is also regulated by the kidney. Then regulation of pH. So the pH of the different parts of the body, like in blood the pH is different, in saliva the pH is different, in stomach the pH is different. The whole body is having different pH at different region, and this is also regulated by our kidney, and this is possible due to the electrolyte balance or ionic balance. The other function is regulation of extracellular fluid volume. Extracellular fluid means in between the cells some space is there, and that space contains some fluid. That fluid level should be maintained properly. Otherwise, the osmolarity of the body cannot be regulated. So, the kidney also regulates these extracellular fluid volume also. Okay. Next function is secreting hormones that help produce red blood cells, promote bone health, and regulate blood pressure. You might have heard about hemopoietin. Hemopoietin, which helps in the production of red blood cells. Okay, so even though the red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow, but their synthesis and the uh, is depending upon a type of hormones that is secreted by the kidney. Okay, and besides that, it also regulates the bone health by maintaining the calcium balance, calcium and phosphorus balance, and it also regulates the blood pressure. Okay, and how it regulates the blood pressure? By regulating the absorption of sodium ion. Okay, so other than filtration, the kidney performs many such crucial functions. That's why kidney is one of the most important organs in our body. Now, as I told you that the structural and functional unit of kidney are the nephrons. They are also called uriniferous tubules. So these nephrons are the actual units that is responsible for filtration of the blood. Each kidney has millions of nephrons and it forms the basic structural and functional unit of the kidney. Each nephron has two parts, that is Malpighian body and renal tubule. I will show you the diagram. Malpighian body is made up of cup-like structure called Bowman's capsule, which encloses a bunch of capillaries called glomerulus. The glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule, that is Malpighian body, filters the waste materials along with your urinary, that is renal tubules, and it removes the waste material along with many useful substances. Renal tubule has regions called proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule. These regions absorb back useful substances into the blood and also filter remaining waste substances. And the output from the nephron is called urine. Now, let me show you the diagram. So, here you can see this is the structure of a nephron. Okay. So, as I said you, the nephron has two most important parts. One is your Malpighian body. This part is Malpighian body. And then the renal tubule. This tube is, this yellow color tube is called renal tubule up to this. Okay. So, this folded tube, coil tube is renal tube. And this part is Malpighian body. Now, this Malpighian body, as I said, it is composed of a cup-shaped structure. You can see it is called Bowman's capsule. And in the Bowman's capsule, a bunch of capillaries are present, that is called glomerulus. So, what is glomerulus? Glomerulus is the bunch of capillaries that is formed by the renal artery. So, here the renal artery enters into the Bowman's capsule where it divides into capillaries, and again these capillaries join together to form the renal artery, and that comes out of the Bowman's capsule. So, as the blood passes through the capillaries, the pressure is created, and because of this pressure, the blood is filtered. So, what happens? From the blood, some waste materials as well as some useful materials are filtered and they enter into this tube, that is renal tube. Okay. Now, this renal tube is divided into three parts. As you can say, it starts from here. This is the neck region. So, from here the renal tube will start. You can see the anterior most part of the renal tubule is coiled. It is much coiled. And this coiled part is known as proximal convoluted tubule. Convolution means coiling. So, proximal. So, first convoluted, first coiled region. Okay. So, this tubule has two coiled region, this one and this one. So, the first coiled region or anterior most coiled region is known as proximal convoluted tubule. Then you can say, see a straight part which is like a hairpin loop like structure, and this is called loop of Henle. This is called loop of Henle. Now again you can see this is folded. Okay, it is coiled. This is distal part of the nephron or the your renal tube. This renal distal part of the renal tube is again coiled, and this is known as distal convoluted tubule. So, what are the things present here? One is your Malpighian body, which consists of Bowman's capsule and glomerulus. Then the renal tube. The renal tube consists of proximal convoluted tubule. then loop of Henle, and then distal convoluted tubule. And a number of such, that is, as I said you, millions of such nephrons are present in each kidney of human being. And here you can see that a tubular structure is present which is branched. Okay, so what does this branch shows? So here I would like to mention that a number of such urinary tubules, or you can say the nephrons, uriniferous tubules, are opened into a common channel that is known as collecting duct. Okay, so after filtration, what is released out of this nephron is called urine. So now the urine is ultimately collected through the collecting duct. So all the uriniferous tubules through these channels, so here you can see so many channels are there. So as many channels are shown, as many branches are shown, that shows your number of uriniferous tubules or nephrons. So it collects the urine. More clearly, here you can see the diagram. So this is the glomerulus, and this is the Bowman's capsule, together form the Malpighian body. And this glomerulus is nothing but the capillaries. Here very clearly it is shown to you, and it is red in color because it is formed by only arteries. In our transportation topic, we have discussed that the capillaries are always formed by the veins and arteries. But here you can see that the capillaries are formed by the arteries only. Okay. So here no, you can see the arterioles, and here also arterioles. Then the next part is your renal tube. So in the renal tube, you can see this is the convoluted part or coiled part. So this is proximal convoluted tube, and then the loop of Henle, and again the distal convoluted tube, and then the last part, that is not the part of your nephron, but it is the collecting duct. Okay. So now what happens when the blood is filtered? Some, as I said, some waste materials as well as some useful materials are also filtered through this tube. But what happens as the fluid or the filtrate passes through this tube, renal tube, the useful substances are again reabsorbed. Okay, here you can see water is needed by our body, so water is again absorbed from this tube. Sodium is needed by our body, sodium chloride, so it is again absorbed. Because if more sodium will be lost, then the blood pressure will be decreased. So, and one of the most important function of kidney is to maintain the blood pressure. So here it absorbs the sodium chloride and thus maintains the blood pressure. Similarly, you can see here water is again absorbed. Okay, in most of the part water is absorbed, and in some part amino acids are also absorbed. And if glucose is released, then that glucose is also absorbed. Okay, so in this way the useful substances are absorbed by different parts of the renal tube. Now we'll discuss about the hemodialysis, but before that, we have already discussed that what is the role of kidney. Kidney performs various functions, but its main function is to remove the waste materials and ionic balance. Okay, so what is hemodialysis? When the kidney fails, then what happens? There is the chance that the waste material will not be filtered out of the blood, and they will be carried to different organs of the body, and they will be deposited there. And when they will deposit in the cell, they will cause cell death or function of the cell, or abnormal functioning of the cell will be there. Okay, so when kidneys fail, it results in a lot of complications. So what we have to do in modern science, medical science, there is a compensatory process. Okay, there is a technology called dialysis. It is a process, it is the technology in which we can remove the waste from the blood artificially outside the body, and again that the pure blood can be sent to the body. Okay, so this dialysis is called hemodialysis. Hemo means blood and the technology is dialysis, that means removal of the waste material takes place here. Actually in this machine a filter is there, that is called dialyzer or a artificial kidney, and this artificial kidney works to remove the excess water and salt to balance other electrolyte in the body and remove the waste products of the metabolism. So here what happens in this system, blood from the body is removed and flowed through a series of tubes made up of semi-permeable membrane, because as you know that is the kidney performs the function or it regulates the osmolarity. So that means the kidney cell has semi-permeable membrane, that's why the osmolarity is maintained. So that's why we require a set of series of tubes through that is made up of semi-permeable membrane, through which when the blood will pass it will remove the waste material. So dialysate flow on the other side of the membrane which draws impurities through the membrane. So when it passes through this tube, series of tubes, the blood passes, then since the membrane are semi-permeable or you can say the selectively permeable membranes, so the filtration of the blood takes place as it passes through the tube. So here you can see in the diagram the person uh, who is in the bed has non-functional kidney. That's why the dialysis is carried out outside the body. So here you can observe that there are two channels. Okay, one is red and other is blue. So what does it show? ये blue color क्या है और and what is this red color? Okay, so here the blood is carried. Okay, this is your, here a machine is you can say the scale is or a measuring scale is there, meter is there to measure the pressure. Okay, and here the blue color shows the impure blood. Impure blood means it is not deoxygenated blood, it is the blood that contains the waste materials, that is metabolic waste and other waste. Now what happens? So through one channel the blood is collected from the uh, collected through one channel, then it is allowed to pass through a dialyzer. So this is the tube. Okay, dialyzer. So here in the dialyzer also the blood pressure should be monitored, otherwise if more pressure will be there then the blood will be, more blood will be pumped into the body, and that may not be registered by the person and the person may face a problem. Okay, and now what happens, this blood which is collected from the body is mixed with the saline solution and then it is passed through a dialyzer, and when it is passed through a dialyzer automatically this dialyzer is having a semi-permeable membrane, and through this semi-permeable membrane the blood is filtered and the waste materials are removed. So here you can say, you can see here it is removed, and after that the blood, again the blood pressure is managed, again the in a static blood pressure is maintained and the blood is sent through the vein. So why through the vein? It is collected from the artery but sent through the vein, because we are collecting the blood from the organ, or which the organ, from the organ only the we are collecting the blood that is sent to the heart, that should be sent to the heart. Before sending to the heart, we are collecting this blood. Am I clear? जनरली आपका क्या होता है, ऑर्गन से ब्लड वेन के थ्रू हार्ट में जाता है, और हार्ट से ब्लड आर्टरी के थ्रू ऑर्गन में आता है. But these organs are having this artery is having your waste materials. So before sending it to the heart, it should be purified. So that's why we are collecting the arterial blood. Then arterial blood को हम purify करके by dialyzer we are sending it through the vein. तो vein से छोड़ने से ये क्या होगा, the vein will carry the blood to the heart. Now the blood will pump the blood to different parts of the body through again artery. Okay, so this is the specific artery that is from where the blood is collected, and sometimes the carotid artery is also used for this purpose. Otherwise, your radial artery is also used. So this is how the hemodialyzer functions. Now this is all about we discussed about the excretion in animals, especially in human beings. Now I will discuss the excretion in plants. The cellular respiration, photosynthesis and other metabolic reaction produces a lot of excretory products in plants. What are the excretory products? Carbon dioxide is a excretory product. Excess water is also should be removed from the body, and that is produced during respiration. Then the nitrogenous compounds are toxic for the body, which are produced during the protein metabolism. Okay, so these are the major excretory products in plant. Now the plant produces, this is very important, the plant produces two gaseous waste products, oxygen during photosynthesis and carbon dioxide during respiration. But we often don't say that oxygen is a waste, because that oxygen is utilized by the plant once again for respiration, and carbon dioxide is also not considered as waste most of the time, because for photosynthesis that carbon dioxide is used up. So excretion of gaseous waste in plant takes place through the stomatal pore on the leaves and the lenticels present on the stem. And that we all know, that is oxygen is released during photosynthesis and used for respiration, whereas carbon dioxide released during respiration is used for photosynthesis. That's why these two are not absolutely called as the waste materials of the plant. Now how the other waste products are released. The excess water is excreted by transpiration in the form of evaporation, water vapor, or by guttation. Then organic byproducts generated by the plant are stored in different forms in different plants, like gum, oils, latex, resin. So these are stored in different parts of the plant, like bark, stem, leaves. So they are stored. Okay, and we often extract these things, which are also called the secondary metabolites, and they are very useful for the human. Eventually the plants shed off these parts. So when more amount of gum, oil, latex, resin, etc. are deposited in different parts of the plant, then that part becomes useless for the plant, and then the plant sheds off these parts. So these are some of the examples, the excretory products, that is oil produced from the orange. You know that orange peel is often used for extracting the orange, that is called orange oil. Eucalyptus, jasmine, latex from the rubber tree, papaya tree, and gums from the acacia. So these are some of the waste materials. Sometimes plants even excrete into the soil. So here you can see how the excretory materials are. Here you can see this is the gum. Okay, so they are deposited in the bark, and when they are deposited in more quantity, they are just oozing out of that. Okay, so here also you can see, when you might have seen that where in some planted plants, when we break the leaf or stem, some white color milky fluid are oozing out. That is the latex. These are nothing but the excretory materials of the plant. So in this way, you can find out different types of waste products of the plant. So this is the end of this chapter, and this was the last topic of this chapter, that is the excretion in plant. And in my next session, I will discuss the important board questions from this chapter. Thank you.